safe. Thank you so much for honoring our invite at a very short notice, Honorable.
Michael, we are ever ready.
Thank you so much, sir.
We revolutionaries, we are ever ready. So I'm happy also to share this information. After all, it's good to share information for the sake of our children, grandchildren.
The last time we talked to you, I would only call you Honorable. Congratulations on your new assignment.
Thank you.
How is the new office?
Well, the new office, I haven't actually occupied it.
Okay.
I'm still in waiting, anticipating, because we have some activities to undertake. For example, we have to be vetted by Parliament. After Parliament, we have to go for orientation. This orientation is organized by Minister of Foreign Affairs. And we have to see our country, to know our country, because most of us may not be aware of everything in our country, what market outside.
So you will have nothing to say
if you haven't actually.
Where you are sent.
Definitely, we have to have facts and figures, appreciate what is Uganda producing, because we have to market our goods and services. So we have to know where those goods and services are produced. So that when you are talking to those people that you are marketing, say, for example, milk or poultry or maize or whatever, you know that you have those facts and figures. Then we have to see the beautiful national parks. So that when you talk about national parks, you have been there and you know. Because I wouldn't make it to be challenged by a foreigner. I have been to Kidepo. Nobody has been to Kidepo, definitely. But it will be a challenge. It will be shameful for anybody to talk about Kidepo when you haven't been there, when you're Ugandan yourself. So I think that's a good program. Then after that, we go for some bit of political orientation to get to know the ideology of NRM.
How long will that whole process take? Isn't that around 6 months?
2 weeks.
No, I'm talking about the parliamentary vetting.
Only for me, I don't know about parliamentary vetting, but I hope that the parliament has resumed. Maybe by next week, we should see things moving. But knowing about our country and going with Shankwas will only take about 2 weeks only. That's what I assume.
Okay.
Yes.
With these very cameras, we'll be at Parliament.
Yes. I don't know, are you allowed inside the committee of vetting or you are not?
We'll be at the entrance and we'll get the information. Congratulations on your new assignment.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
And I really want to thank the President for having really entrusted me. This is a vote of confidence, really, to deploy me in this strategic country. I really thank the President, and I always ask my friends and relatives really to join me and thank the President for having considered me for this high-profile deployment. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When did you join the team that went to Luwero? Yourself?
Yeah, you see, I joined the team that went to Luwero on the first day, 6th of February 1981. But the struggle, we need to correct our history. This struggle didn't start on 6th of February 1981.
That's not when it started.
This struggle started long ago because there was some history of accident in the history of Uganda. And from colonial time, even before that, we see some revolutionaries that wanted to shape this country in a proper way. Okay? From the time of Kabarega to the time of Mwanga, at the time of Musazi, and then we see people like Obote coming on the scene. Then from there, after independence, we see something that really happened that I would call an accident of history.
Okay.
Because
an accident of history.
When we got independence, what self-governance, we saw DP and Kiwanuka receiving the government, the interim government.
Yes.
But Obote somehow entered into an holy marriage with Kabaka Yeka.
Yes.
And they dislodged Ben Kiwanuka. Okay? And then Obote interested Idi Amin, trusted him more than some young people or young officers who had been recruited and trained in the high military institutions like Sandhurst, like Dehradun, like Moons. You know, when those guys came, they were not given command and control. Instead, Mr. Obote promoted who? Idi Amin, who later on betrayed him and overthrew him when
1971.
1971, Obote was attending a conference of heads of state in Singapore. Then
back home, the gentleman took over.
They took over. And when he took over, then the accident really accelerated.
Why do you call that an accident of history?
Because really, I don't think Amin was the right person to take charge of this country, really. Okay?
In terms of what?
In terms of capability, political capability, military capability, you know, he had no science of management of society. So really, he was a good soldier, he was a good officer, but he was not a good leader.
Are you saying being a good soldier is not enough to make somebody a good leader?
To manage society, you need some qualifications and qualities. That's what we mean.
The senior six we talk about today?
You don't simply jump from nowhere and you say you want to take over the country. So we saw that really as that unholy marriage that dislodged Ben Kiwanuka. Then we see Obote trusting Amin more than other officers. Then Amin overthrows Obote. Then he takes over and he disorganizes the country. Completely economically, politically, militarily. The army turned into brutal instruments to kill and harass people. Then we saw Ugandans running into exile. Uganda was a net exporter of refugees. So that was really an accident.
I'm waiting for you to arrive at where now the struggle began.
While that was going on, our leader right now,
yes,
President Mwesigye, in that early age, saw that there was a problem in this country. And then he started organizing his colleagues, his age mates. At that time, okay, we see him organizing the Babazis, the Tafiles, the Mwesigye Black, Martin Mwesigye, and these other colleagues, taking them to some place in Mozambique to train. Okay? Yes. So we see that history. We should be recording that history correctly from that time. Okay?
That was during the days of Amin.
Of Amin. Okay?
Way before 1981.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because from what we have, from what we know, our president, I think, stayed one day in Uganda after Idi Amin taking over government. You can see as at that time, President Mwesigye left this country and went to Tanzania and started organizing, politicizing, but also left some networks in the country to continue politicizing and guiding people, to continue with the struggle which started in the 60s of organizing people, telling them to settle down, you know. So it has been a protracted struggle to come to this of 1981. So 1981 was triggered.
Was just a climax.
A climax
of a bigger arrangement that took some time.
Took some time.
Okay.
Okay. So 1981 February, we left this place, Kampala, and attacked Kabamba.
Were you yourself?
I was among...
I mean, were you still part of the other arrangement before the climax of 1981?
I joined Fronasa I joined President Museveni in 1977 when Idi Amin killed Ruwum, Bishop Ruwum.
Yes.
Okay? Jenan Ruwum. That's when the country actually...
Said enough is enough.
That's when the country actually descended into total chaos. Okay? And most of us at that age who were doing some clandestine work left this country. And we went and joined our president in Tanzania. Some of us stay in Kenya, others stay in Tanzania. So...
But preparing for something.
Preparing for something. And that something took long to happen.
Why?
Because you remember, in 1972, Obote and President Museveni tried to attack, to invade Uganda through Mbarara. Okay? And they were defeated because they weren't prepared.
What?
They weren't prepared.
How and what brought a union of President Museveni then and because Dr. Obote?
They had a common enemy.
The common enemy brought them together,
yes,
at some point.
Yes, exactly. And so that invasion was also an attempt to get rid of Idi Amin. Okay? Because he had started killing people, you know. The army was wild. The army is supposed to protect people and their properties as per the constitution. But when the army turns into a brutal instrument, killing people, raping women, looting things, you know, they need to see it. So that invasion failed. Then they went back. Those who survived, they went back
to hatch another plan.
And by that time, Nyerere was condemned by the world. Why did you allow this? Of course, he didn't allow. He had not allowed these people. So, of course, you are not allowed to support any robo activity against your neighbor country. Yes. But so when that one failed, then we went back to reorganize. We went to reorganize, and in 1978, God caused something to happen. When President Nyerere and other leaders were hesitant to support any revolution against Uganda because of international relationships, then Amin attacks Tanzania in 78.
And the provocation was an advantage.
It was a big advantage for Nyerere, and all of us were in exile.
In a form of retaliation.
Exactly. So that was God-given chance to get rid of Idi Amin. We don't know why Amin attacked Tanzania, and I don't know why, and I have never known why, and I don't think even Amin knows why he attacked Uganda, why he attacked Tanzania. Yeah. So when he attacked Tanzania, an opportunity was availed to Nyerere.
For whoever wanted to.
And Nyerere called everybody. He said, all of you people who want to get rid of it, the time is here. And we all came.
You participated?
Yes, we came. And from NASA, we went through what we call Western Axis. Okay? From Chikagate, and went to Mbarara up to Western Nile. Then there was an axis, the central axis of Obote's forces, commanded by Tojok, which came through Masaka to Kampala. And so we got rid of Idi Amin. So we should begin recording our history of this struggle we're talking about. 36 years.
It's just very little time compared to what exactly happened. This is now where I come with a question, yes. Honorable. It is Amin, according to what you have shared, that actually messed up the country.
Yes.
Overthrowing him saw an election.
Yes.
After an election, where again do you guys get the more authority? Because an election is now a peaceful thing. Everybody was involved. Whatever happened could be taken to court and things like that. Yeah, but that thing, where again do you get the more authority to go back to fighting after an election?
Yes. it was a coalition of so many groups, okay, who had different ideologies, okay, but they came together because we had a common enemy. Now you remember what happened here. The Lule was very present. He was thrown after 68 days. Then comes Benaisa, who ruled I don't know for how long. Then came military commission. Now military commission organized elections, okay, but we had little hope. We doubted the genuineness of those elections.
Why?
Because, look, there were three ballot boxes, one for UPC, one for DP, and one for UPM, okay? And they were in a room. And today we have only one ballot box,
Yes.
which is also transparent. You can see who has done what. And you count from the same moment when you vote. Unlike that time, you would go and vote, put your ballot paper in any box of your choice. But what happened with UPC that time, Mwanga, first of all, changed all votes of DP and gave them to UPC and declared the UPC the winner. Okay? And he declared he would be the only person to announce the results. So Mr. Sekono, who was the chairman of the Electoral Commission at that time, I think disappeared, ran away. Okay? So then our president had warned that if Mwanga and UPC, because all signs had indicated that UPC were going to rig the election, because they had the support of the Tanzanian forces, and we'll see. And our president at that time warned that if UPC rigs elections, I'll go to the bush and fight. They didn't take him seriously. They thought he was joking. And I remember another statement when he was campaigning, he predicted that DP will win, UPC will rule, UPM will go to the bush to fight. And those things happened.
Now,
DP won, UPC took power and ruled, UPM went to the bush to fight.
Now, before we continue,
Yes.
so by the time your team won through your leader, Yoweri Museveni, then, don't you think already, one may think that you already had a plan?
Of course. The plan was there.
So were you
Because-
in the elections just for formality?
Because I told you, all the trend, all the plans, all the activities
Had been laid.
could show that these elections were going to be free and fair. Even during the campaigns, when the elections were being organized, some constituencies which were assumed to be pro Museveni were cut off and added to the strongholds of UPC. The strongholds of DP were cut off and added to UPC. So you could see that even at that time, the disorganizing or gerrymandering of constituencies and boundaries could tell you that all indications are clear that UPC is going had to win by hook or crook.
So
Okay.
you waited for the elections to end?
Yeah. And there was an opportunity to go to court.
How? Were there no courts of law then?
But the Sekono had run away, so who had evidence? How could the Mwanga be the chairperson of the Electoral Commission who would bring evidence to court? So you could see it really, but if they had really organized genuine elections, I don't think President Museveni had the cause to go to the bush.
So 1981,
So 1981,
February, you took to the bushes of Luwero.
Yes.
How easy or difficult was that?
Of course, some of us did not know how long this struggle was going to take. Some thought it was going to be a military takeover, a military overthrowing government in a coup. Others thought it was going to be an uprising in town, in what they call insurrection. Very few people knew that it was going to be a protracted proposal.
Who had the design of what you were going to do?
The president himself, with a few leaders who knew what, but that information, that plan was not known by everybody. No. We only got to know when we went the bush that this is going to be a people's protracted struggle. This plan was given to us in the hills of Ramata, in Singo. Then we started the struggle. Otherwise, when we were here in Kampala, moving up and down, and some of our commanders who had returned from training, others had trained in Munduri, others had trained in Nigeria, I had trained in Chuba with others. So most of us were scattered over the country, taken away from Kampala. Sent Moroto, like General Sale was in Moroto, Leto Kuranga was in Moroto, others were in Bibia, you know. So that's why others were in prison, like Jimu, General Jim and General Tinyifuza. Those had been arrested and put in jail. Prisoners. So they made, UPC made sure that those officers and men who were assumed to be supporters of President Museveni, UPM, were far from Kampala.
So you are in the bush. So I want a small picture.
So on the 6th of February, actually 5th, the night of 5th, we set off from Kampala, from the house of Mr. Ruchikaire, Matthew Ruchikaire, in Machindye. But we were organizing from another house of Mr. Kazora. He was a big lawyer in this town, yes, also in Machindye. When they discovered that house, we had to shift to Ruchikaire's house. The last night of 4th, 5th there, we were there. And on the 5th of February, 1981, we are put in a truck, a trailer, this back part of the trailer, covered, sealed completely. And the driver was none other than Brigadier General Taya, who had acquired that lorry. And we were put in the truck. We didn't know the destination. And we set off for an unknown destination. We were there in the truck, shivering with our guns. We had already 27 guns. Okay? So we drove, some of us, to an unknown destination. Some people knew, because in the war, there are people who plan, there are people who go to spy where you are going to attack. But the majority are given the plan on the D-Day, on the day of attack. That's when you are given a plan to, I'm going to attack this place. This is what we are going to do. And this is what we are going to pass. We expect these obstacles.
So which category did you fall yourself?
Me, I was in the general group.
What kind of life was it in Luwero for 5 years?
Well, it was,
I'm looking at young men at a time when you had to enjoy life, and you were in the bushes.
It was a mixture of thoughts. It was a mixture of activities. It was a mixture of, there was, first of all, before we go that one, we move at night, and we are heading to some unknown place. At some place, Kagadi, Kakumero, that was the daylight now. We could see, I mean, it was we couldn't know until we reached the place called Mwesigye. It was about 5 in the morning. Then we were put into sections. Said, you are going to attack this, you are going to attack this, you are going to attack this. For me, and 7 others who were put in charge of attacking the Ambra. I was with the late Magara, who was commanding us, with Ngoboka, Suicide, Katunji, Ndayondi, and some other comrades who were put in a small car, Peugeot 204, which belonged to the father of Late Lumumba. President Museveni had his own pickup which broke on the way in Masaka. Then he got that vehicle from his friend. They followed us. Then when we were approaching that target, I found myself in that section that was going to attack the Amara. The others, each section had to attack its objective. Others were to attack the communication. Others were to attack the logistical center where there was food and whatnot. Others were to attack the MTO. So we were not very many, by the way, but at least we managed to divide ourselves into those sections. So we attacked Kabamba. We made 3 attempts because when we were entering in the small car to Mwine, I think this got a misunderstanding with the guard, the quarter guard. Okay? He told him we had brought logistics. Then this guard, I think, he hesitated. Then I think Mwine shot him. Then
That's the first bullet I hear.
the first bullet. Then for us, we proceeded at a very high speed. There was a guard, a Tanzanian guard, who was guarding the Amara. He was on a tread. We could see him. He ran and entered the Amara. The Amara is underground. So when he entered, he started positioned himself, started shooting at us. We tried to enter, but we failed. We had one RPG which we fired in. We couldn't. The man was very strategically located. We were defeated actually. Okay? We tried 3 times. We'd run and go to the president and say, look, we have failed. We said, go back, and 3 times. And we failed. Then it was getting late for us. But fortunate enough, even those trainees who were in Kabamba, those Tanzanian forces who were there, they had run as far as their legs could carry. Others had actually run up to Kampala.
Now,
So actually we could have taken there even more hours. But of course you can't know. Maybe they could have brought some reinforcements from Movendo or someplace. So we had to go in an orderly manner, headed for Chiboga.
what do you think enabled you to overthrow a whole government?
Now, what enabled us to overthrow?
Yeah. What do you think is that special thing?
A combination of so many factors. First of all, the majority of Ugandans were angry with Obote's government, with his brutal army, with his brutal government. So people were annoyed. UPC had rigged elections. People were annoyed. Okay? Then, when we went in the bush, even the organizational capacity of our leader, okay, the political ideology, the correct military line, the correct political line, all these factors enabled us to score the goals. Because if we had poor leadership, we would have succeeded.
On return from the bush, you take over government 1986, 26 January.
Yes.
You were all young men.
Yes.
The sanity among you to manage society, I'll use the word malala among young people. I'm looking at the 23, 24, 30-year-olds taking government. What could have been the secret that enabled you to run affairs at the time?
Apparently, I've told you that political organization, correct leadership mattered so much, because during the life of the struggle in the 5 years, it's not that we spent all the 5 years fighting every day. No. Most of the time, we were actually carrying out what we call political education. We were receiving doses of political education to orient us correctly ideologically, to prepare that when we take over government,
This is what we're going to do.
this is what we should do.
Okay.
We are all the time politicizing the wananchi, the soldiers. Political education actually built that soberness among the freedom fighters. Otherwise, if we didn't have a correct political ideology, if we didn't have a correct military line, if we didn't have the correct leadership, we wouldn't have survived in this Kampala. We would have turned into adventurists or warlords. With all the excitement, but we didn't have that because of the correct leadership of our president.
If you had a scorecard of 100%, do you think you have scored? How much of...
We have scored.
How much out of 100?
First of all, don't think it is by accident to hold government power for 36 years. It's not accident. It's a result of so many things. Okay? Because I'm sure other presidents would have loved to lead this country for more than 10 years. So, as I told you, look, security. On the front of security, I think we have scored 98%. Okay? Because the role of the army is to protect Ugandans and their properties. Here, NRM has scored because every border of our country is secure. Internally, we are secure. There is no army man or security officer that can kill or steal or loot or rape without being punished, without being tried. And so those who do such, we have scored. And then security has created peace. So on peace, we have scored 98%. Every part of Uganda is peaceful. There are some elements, of course, those will be there all the time.
Just like I'm talking to you, Honorable. I've had a chance to talk to other colleagues of yours, two of them, who say that the group lost track. During the elections, I had an interview with General Mugisha Muntu. I asked him, what is that one thing? Actually, I've talked to three. What is that one thing you blame President Museveni for having? He said he lost track.
No, you see.
After some time, I talked to General Tumukunde. He said, what is happening is not why we fought.
No,
Then, recently, I talked to Kano Kiza Besigye. He said, the reason we went to the bush is not what is happening. What do you think?
But you see, I was telling you, on peace, we have scored. Okay? There's peace. That's why you see all these investments. That's why you see all these infrastructure transformation. That's why you see all these schools. That's why you see all these things going on. Definitely, it's not by accident. Definitely on peace. Because peace, if there's no peace in this country, nobody can invest in this country.
What is wrong with these three colleagues of yours then?
I will come to them.
Okay.
Secondly, on prosperity, there we have not scored as we would have wished, because most people in Uganda are still poor. That's why you see us government trying to introduce very many programs that actually can alleviate people from poverty. There are some people who are rich, who are industrialists, who are good businessmen, but most of the people in the country are still poor. That's why we are pushing all these programs, the Myoga Group, the Parish Models, the Bona Bagagawale. You know, all these programs are aimed at uplifting the poor people. Then plus education, because once people are educated, then they can try to also improve their own welfare. So on prosperity, we are still struggling.
Some work still needs
definitely.
Okay.
On wealth creation, we have a long way to go, but there is a steady progress. Then when we come to health, of course, we aim at making sure there is a medical center or health center at every parish, every sub-county. We have to increase the medical workers. We have to improve their welfare. There, we need to improve on that one. Yes, buildings are there, medicine are there, but the welfare...
Personnel need motivation.
The personnel needs motivation. There, we are struggling. Education, the same. Schools are being built, but we need to improve the welfare of the teachers so that they gain morale to. Then we need also to do something on technical education. There we need to emphasize, we need to work hard to make sure that all Ugandans have skills in their hands. Because when you have a skill like what you have now, you'll never go hungry. So we want to emphasize technical education so that everybody is equipped with even 3 skills, not even not single skill. So there we are also struggling to make sure. For example, we have many trucks and other moving equipment. We don't have drivers to drive these things. That's why these investors come and they bring their Chinese drivers, what. We don't want that. We'd like to have our children go in for technical skills.
What do you think could explain the delay of seeing results in all of those areas you have mentioned?
Now, let me tell you.
36 years down the road.
We have been in power for 36 years,
Yes.
as you state, isn't it?
Yes.
But how many?
Honorable, I'm not just stating.
36 years in power, okay?
If it were a human being, a 36-year is a graduate with children.
How many insurgencies have we fought in this country? How long did it take? Do you count that when we were fighting Okonye for 20 years? Do you count that at 36 years? The funds, the resources that went to fight Konyi in the north, those resources could have maybe improved. This is what we're talking about. ADF, how many years have been fighting ADF? So many years. So the resources that went to fight ADF to bring peace to Uganda, the resources that went to fight these insurgencies,
Is what we lost not to be spent on schools and everything.
actually, that is common sense.
Honorable, you talked of a number of poverty alleviation programs that still collapse with less or no results. Entandikwa, Bonabagagawale, wealth creation, all those. Emyoga is now the one on. The other day Parliament was bringing out a plethora of queries and things like that. What again affect those? Because at least a number of those have existed at a time when Konyi was at a very low tone and the ADF. What has affected those?
All those programs actually give succession to other programs.
Even without results?
Okay, when you try a program and you see it is not yielding results, you promote or you enter or you create another program. This is what happens. You don't completely give up. You have to continue improving more programs. And I'm very sure.
Ideally, wouldn't it be right to first know what failed the previous one?
During that process, there are many lessons learned. And it is through those lessons that you create another program. And that will happen if you really see this program of parish model and Emyoga. It's not leaving out anybody untouched.
But Emyoga is, Honorable Emyoga is already having problems.
No, those are in the minds of people. Those people in opposition, they are the ones creating that anxiety. But I'm telling you, just don't kill something in the nib. I'm telling you, these programs, like this parish model and the Myoga, calling everybody from in your Mwoga, come and get money to work. Be in the bank so that you can be monitored. You will find that within 2 years, you see the problem with these people, they want to disorganize this program even before it starts. Because they create that through media, through what? Because there is freedom of media. Then they create a situation.
Honorable, you see, the challenge, these are not the guys that actually manage the resources in these programs. So their noise couldn't, in my view, their noise could not in any way affect the program.
I have been in Parliament. Mm-hmm. I know what happens in this government. Okay? This noise you see creates chaos, even in those who are organizing the Nani. Because
the other day, Honorable, yes, the minister in charge of microfinance was arresting people for having stolen this money.
This money is available to groups, but not all the groups.
And some leaders ran away with the money.
And they get arrested. And it was a clear message that we are giving you this money, in your groups, open bank accounts. If you steal this money, because even the money for arresting and monitoring was catered for. But not all the groups have collapsed. Look, we have been in the newspaper, you see in the newspapers, haven't, even last week, didn't you see some good results of say, this group did this? It was in the papers.
Honorable, it's bringing me to something.
Yes.
The complaint, even not only from opposition people, but even within government, is about corrupt tendencies by officials that are handling these programs that lead them to hit dead ends.
No.
Right from Ntandikwa, they will mention what happened. Bonabagagawale, somebody did this. Up to Emyoga, they are arresting people.
Me on the way. I was coming to what we are proud of and what we are not proud of yet. Okay? And corruption. I was coming to corruption. I was coming to democracy and corruption.
Exactly.
Okay?
What has failed corruption?
No.
Because corruption has now started eating even all the other programs that the system is coming up with.
For me,
How do we fail to fight such a problem all this long?
I have a different view, by the way.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's hear it.
Corruption is being fought. Corruption was there even before you NRM. Okay? But the corruption that was there was never talked about. You people, you wouldn't talk about general in the army or minister. You would be somewhere else. But today, there is that liberty of writing about any corrupt person. There is liberty to expose anybody who is corrupt. And I want to assure you that exposure by the media, by the people who can talk, by the IGG, by the police, by our leaders, creates it creates scare. It scares those people.
But what do you think about the escalation, Honorable?
The escalation is being arrested every day. How many people has the government arrested? So many are in jail. So many are refunding money. I follow this information. People have refunded money. People have gone to jail. There's nobody who is above the law. If you are caught, you are tried and put in the jail. And the law itself is tight enough, is strong enough. So me, I'm sure, if there was no goodwill to fight corruption, I would say there we have failed. But there is goodwill by the president, by all the leaders, by anti-corruption groups, by the IGG, by police to fight.
If there was goodwill, these units, each one of them has complaints that will surprise you. The IGG will tell you about how they are understaffed. How would such an agency of government fighting a problem bad as that complain about something as small as just being understaffed?
Now, that one,
how do we expect them to execute their duties?
That one is going to be handled, I'm very sure. Because I'm sure the executive is putting more resources in those anti-corrupt organizations or groups that he has created. I'm sure within the next 1 or 2 years, you'll see. But as I told you, yes. You see, all these activities are going on, but we have enemies to fight. For example, now how much I will spend fighting ADF? Do you know how much it is? It's a lot of money.
But can that be an excuse for
no. But ADF is here. It has been here. You know it.
Yes.
It has actually now devised other tactics.
Can that be an excuse for having all these other problems?
Not at all.
Persistent.
Not at all. I don't believe so.
For as long as over 30 years.
I don't agree with you, and I don't believe that one is an excuse. But you should know that the budget would have come to improve on anti-corruption tactics or methods or strategies. That would improve the welfare of doctors, the teachers, train these people in these skills.
Is spent on
this.
Honorable, I diverted you a little,
yes.
But I had asked you, actually I will connect it here. How do you feel that your colleagues from the Bush War, General Montu, General Tumukunde, Kano Mwesigye, they feel you guys are astray? Are they wrong? What do you think?
Let me tell you, in the struggle in the world, and in the struggle that have existed, all this is expected. The struggle is like...
is it them that are astray or you?
Yes, it is them who are astray. I'm telling you, the struggle goes, but there are people who go out, there are people who enter the struggle. why are people entering the struggle if it is bad, if it is going astray? But there are many people joining the struggle than people who are going out.
What could be this guy's problem, the three?
I think it's ambition. They want to take over power. They want to be presidents. It's ambition. Don't think that. We always advise that if there is any disagreement within the struggle, within the leadership, there are channels, there are methods of solving, of discussing those problems.
Have they been given that platform?
Yes.
Because actually, all of them, their complaint that internally, they were not given an opportunity to be listened to when they had views of where things were not going right.
Now, have they solved the problem where they are? They can't. So the best thing that you continue within your struggle, try to change within your struggle, instead of going out. Even when you go out, you can't help your situation. Instead, you get problems with yourself. So I don't agree with their way of doing things, and I've never agreed with them, because I think you can still improve our system, our party, our organization within by punching each other in sec, by punching each other in neck, by punching in the caucus, and step by step, you find things are being solved. But as I said, you cannot solve everything.
In the 1950s, the young people then stood up for Uganda's independence. Yes.
The Kabaregas and Musazis.
Yes, the Mwangas,
yes. Murumba.
Exactly.
Yes.
In the 1980s, you, the young people of then, you fought, you stood up against dictatorship.
Yes.
What do you think about the young people that have started asking you a lot of questions today, you people that are in charge?
Now, let me tell you.
Yes.
The population that time was very small.
Yes.
When we took over power, Uganda was 14 million. Okay? Now, we are almost approaching 45 million. You understand? Mm-hmm. Within this period from 1986, the population of Uganda has grown. And I tell you that every generation has peculiar challenges that face that generation. Okay? Our generation had a challenge of brutality of government. Okay? State-inspired brutality. That was our challenge. Now, today, the challenge of these Ugandans, these youth whom we have created this conducive environment to go to school. School.
Yes.
You know, people are getting out, the universities are spitting thousands, technical schools are spitting what. So, these children have to be employed. You understand? So, the problem now, I was coming to democracy and employment, we are not doing on employment. That's why our president is always struggling, attracting investors. If all leaders were attracting investors to come to Uganda with this electricity, with this infrastructure.
Is that enough? Is that enough?
But how do you create employment other than creating, that's why you are establishing industrial parks in every district, so that these industries can create jobs for these young people. That's why I was saying that we need, with these industries that are coming up, if we can train our people in skills, electricity, water, plumbing, carpentry, earth-moving equipment, operators, these children, we shall lessen the problem of unemployment. And this is what these people want to use. Now, those people who didn't have the chance of getting education, that's why they are creating this myoga money. Carpenters, those welders, those painters, the hair salons, the stock sellers, those who have formal education, this is a fund for you. You also come and share on this money. But if the leaders were organizing, but some of those people in opposition can't organize their people where they are from.
But like I said, Honorable, those people, the opposition guys, their noise, I may agree, but they're not the ones that have the funds. If somebody having the funds is doing the right thing, would noise really be a problem?
Let me tell you, if these leaders in opposition can appreciate that a positive government program should be appreciated for the sake of our people, okay? I would be happy with them. But they don't. They discourage people to join those myogas, to join.
Are you fair to blame noise from a smaller group to be a problem affecting a program from a group that has the numbers and the resources and the authority to decide?
What I'm saying,
Yes.
if these leaders loved their people, for example, NUP or FDC or whatever, okay, they are the majority in this central region,
Yes.
isn't it? If they all woke up and say, look, here we oppose NRM on the political program, but on the poverty eradication, on wealth creation, for the sake of our people, let us support this program and encourage, popularize those programs. Those guys would be joining this Myogamani and the parish model. The funds are there.
Talking about the young people, coups have returned on the African continent. We have almost 5 countries now with governments like that. Some bodies have even refused to recognize. What is your view? Young soldiers within the armies.
Oh, this is West Africa.
Not even West Africa. We have Mali, Guinea the other day.
Those are even West Africa.
Yes. What is the problem? What does it tell?
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate they are taking this country backwards. But I don't think it is a correct way of doing things. And I don't believe that they will survive anywhere here in East Africa.
The times we had coups, whoever would carry it on would blame the bad governance within the country where he has done it. We hear the same voices today. What does it mean for Africa?
Well, I don't believe that those guys will succeed.
50 years after independence.
Those guys, definitely, the world has changed. The political order has changed. Economic order has changed. The social order has changed. I don't think those guys will survive.
They blame governments, sitting governments, denying them space.
No, for example,
political space.
This recent coup in Burkina Faso.
Yes.
They were blaming the leader for failing to contain insurgency. That's what I saw they were blaming. That they were, I think those ICCO people, that's what they saw.
What can Africa do to stop this?
Because you can see, it needs
because it's a new wave now.
Strong leadership, like the NRM has provided this country. I'm telling you, if we had weaker leadership, Kony would be here, Edif would be here. So I want to really call upon Uganda to appreciate the passion of our leader, the tenacity, the courage, the firmness, the good strategy that he has provided this country. Because I want to tell you, with these insurgencies that have been disturbing this country, if it was not for his strong leadership, Uganda would be in chaos like those countries they talk about. So we should appreciate really the contribution of our president.
Thank you so much.
This country.
Thank you so much, the Honorable Ambassador, Colonel Retired Fred Mwesigye. He is a bush war hero, Duero. He says right from Fronasa in the 1970s up to 1986 when the NRM government came to power. They celebrated 36 years just this week, and he has been a member of parliament for Nyabushozi, among other assignments and roles he has played as a Ugandan leader, and he's now the ambassador designate, high commissioner designate for Uganda in the Republic of Tanzania. We have been sharing about the 36 years of the NRM in power and the Bush War as well, and that is all we had for you. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. I move with a young man called Davis Kamukama and Gloria Gwitabinja, our producer, plus the whole team. Enjoy the rest of the night. Bye-bye.